You are not who you think you are. Right now, in this very moment, you are operating under a case of mistaken identity. You've been walking around believing that you are this collection of past experiences, these limiting thoughts, this body that ages, this personality that was shaped by your parents and your culture and your circumstances. But that's not who you are. That's not even close to who you really are. And here's what I want you to understand today, more than anything else. You came from somewhere. You didn't just pop into existence as this bundle of anxieties and worries and problems. Before you were here, you were somewhere else. You were part of something magnificent, something infinite, something that religious traditions have called God, Spirit, Source, the Tao, divine intelligence. Call it whatever feels right to you, but understand this. You came from that. You are still connected to that. You never stopped being part of that. Think about it for just a moment. Before you showed up here in this physical body, where were you? You were in the mind of God. You were pure potential, pure consciousness, pure love. You were everything and nothing all at once. And then something miraculous happened. You decided to take form. You decided to come here and experience life through these five senses, through this body, through this particular perspective. But here's what happened along the way. You forgot. You forgot who you really are. It's like you went to sleep and started having this dream. And in the dream, you became so convinced that the dream was real that you forgot you were dreaming. You forgot that you're the dreamer. You started identifying with the character in the dream instead of remembering that you're the consciousness behind it all. This forgetting, this amnesia, it starts the moment we arrive here. We come into this world remembering everything, connected to everything, and then slowly, gradually, the world begins to teach us to forget. Our parents, with all their love and good intentions, start telling us who we are. You're shy, you're clumsy, you're not good at math, you're just like your father. And we believe them because we trust them. Teachers tell us what we're capable of. Society tells us what's possible and what isn't. Friends tell us what's normal and what's weird. And layer by layer, like sediment settling on the bottom of a river, these beliefs cover up the truth of who we really are. By the time we're adults, most of us are so buried under these false beliefs that we can't even remember what it feels like to be free. We can't remember what it feels like to be unlimited. We've traded our divine inheritance for a mess of pottage, as the old saying goes. We've accepted this small, limited version of ourselves, and we wonder why we feel unfulfilled, why we feel like something's missing, why we wake up in the middle of the night with this aching sense that there must be more to life than this. But I'm here to tell you today that you can remember. You can access what I call the memory of God. You can reconnect with the truth of who you really are. And it's not as hard as you might think. In fact, it's the most natural thing in the world because you never actually disconnected from Source. You only thought you did. You only believed the story that you were separate, that you were alone, that you were just this tiny speck of dust in a vast, uncaring universe. The memory of God is available to you right now. It's not something you have to earn. It's not something you have to be worthy of. It's your birthright. It's who you are. It's like asking a wave to remember the ocean. The wave never stopped being the ocean. It just had a temporary experience of being a wave. So how do you access this memory? How do you remember who you really are? It starts with recognizing the false beliefs that have covered up the truth. It starts with questioning every single thing you've been taught to believe about yourself. When you hear that voice in your head saying, "I'm not good enough," stop and ask, is that true? Is that really who I am? Or is that something I learned? When you feel limited, when you feel stuck, when you feel powerless, stop and ask, is this the truth of my being? Or is this just a story I've been telling myself? Because here's what I know for sure. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that notices the thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the consciousness that experiences the emotions. You are not your body. You are the infinite spirit that is temporarily expressing itself through this body. And when you begin to identify with your true nature, instead of these temporary, changing aspects of your experience, everything shifts. Let me tell you something about where you came from. In that place, in that dimension of pure consciousness, there is no judgment. There is no comparison. There is no lack. There is no fear, there is only love, only creativity, only infinite possibility. That's your natural state, that's the environment you emerged from. And every single time you feel peaceful, every time you feel joyful for no apparent reason, every time you feel connected to something greater than yourself, you're remembering, you're accessing the memory of God. Children are still close to this memory. Have you ever watched a young child, maybe 2 or 3 years old, completely absorbed in play? They're not worried about the future. They're not replaying the past. They're fully present, fully alive, fully connected to the creative force that flows through all things. They believe they can do anything. They believe magic is real. They haven't yet learned to limit themselves. That's because they still remember where they came from. They still remember who they are. But then we teach them to forget. We teach them to be afraid. We teach them to compete. We teach them that they're separate from each other and from God. And by the time they grow up, they've lost that connection just like most of us did. But it doesn't have to stay that way. You can wake up. You can remember. One of the most powerful ways to access this memory is through silence. In our world, we're addicted to noise, to stimulation, to constant input. We fill every moment with music, with television, with social media, with talking, with thinking. We're terrified of silence because in silence, we might have to face ourselves. We might have to feel what we've been running from. But silence is where God speaks. Silence is where you remember. When you sit in silence, even for just a few minutes each day, you begin to notice something. You begin to notice that beneath all the chatter of your mind, beneath all the noise of the world, there's a presence. There's a stillness. There's a peace that has always been there, waiting for you to notice it. That presence is who you are. That stillness is your true nature. That peace is the memory of God. And in that silence, you start to receive guidance. You start to hear that still, small voice that has been trying to get your attention your whole life. It's been whispering to you in moments of intuition, in flashes of inspiration, in those times when you just knew something without knowing how you knew it. That's your connection to infinite intelligence. That's your direct line to source. That's God speaking to you, reminding you of who you are. Now, I want to talk to you about the nature of God because this is where so many people get confused. We've been taught to think of God as something separate from us, something out there, up there, watching us, judging us, keeping score. We've been taught that we have to please God, that we have to be good enough to earn God's love. And this teaching has created so much suffering, so much guilt, so much shame. But what if that's not what God is at all? What if God is not a being, but being itself? What if God is not a person, but the presence that animates all persons? What if God is not separate from you, but is the very consciousness through which you're reading these words right now? The memory of God is the memory of your own infinite nature. It's the recognition that the same power that creates galaxies and spins planets and causes flowers to bloom is the power that beats your heart. You didn't learn how to grow your hair or digest your food or heal a cut on your finger. That happens automatically, intelligently, perfectly, because you are an expression of divine intelligence. Think about the moment of your conception. 1 cell became 2, 2 became 4, 4 became 8, and somehow, without any instruction manual, without any conscious effort on anyone's part, those cells knew how to organize themselves into eyes and ears and a brain and a heart and lungs and kidneys. How did they know? How did they know what to become? Because they were following a blueprint, an intelligence, a memory that existed before they formed. That's the memory of God. That's the intelligence that creates worlds. And that same intelligence is still operating in you right now. It's operating in every cell of your body. It's operating in every thought you think, every choice you make, every step you take. You are never separate from it. You can't be separate from it any more than a ray of sunshine can be separate from the sun. But our ego, that false sense of self that we've constructed, doesn't like this idea. The ego wants to be special. It wants to be separate. It wants to be in control. The ego says, I did this, I achieved that, I made this happen. The ego takes credit for everything and blames everyone else when things go wrong. The ego is constantly comparing, constantly competing, constantly trying to prove its worth. And here's the thing about the ego, it's not bad, it's not evil, it's just mistaken. The ego is like a security guard that was hired to protect the building, but over time, started to think it owned the building. The ego has its place, it helps us navigate the physical world. It helps us develop skills and make plans and function in society. But when we identify with the ego, when we think we are the ego, we suffer. Remembering who you really are means loosening your identification with the ego. It means recognizing that you are not the voice in your head. You are not the story you've been telling about yourself. You are the vast, infinite consciousness that is aware of the voice, aware of the story, aware of everything. Here's a simple practice you can do right now. Close your eyes for a moment and notice that you're aware. Notice that there's an awareness present that is aware of your thoughts, aware of your body, aware of your surroundings. Now ask yourself, who is aware? Who is noticing? You might think, I am, but then ask, who is the I that is aware? Keep going back. Keep following the awareness back to its source, and you'll discover something amazing. You'll discover that there's no separate you doing the awareness. There's just awareness itself, pure consciousness. And that consciousness is not personal. It's universal. It's the same consciousness that looks out through every pair of eyes, that experiences itself through every living being. This is the memory of God. This is the recognition that we are all one, not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. We are all expressions of the same infinite consciousness, the same divine source, having different experiences, playing different roles, but never, ever separate. When you truly understand this, your whole life changes. You stop judging others because you realize they're you. You stop competing because you realize there's no one to compete with. You stop feeling lack because you realize you're connected to infinite abundance. You stop feeling afraid because you realize that your true self, your consciousness, can never be harmed, can never die, is eternal. Let me tell you about death for a moment, because this is where the memory of God becomes so important. We've been taught to fear death, to see it as the end, as the ultimate tragedy. But what if death is just another transformation? What if it's simply the shedding of this physical form and a return to pure consciousness, to the source from which we came? When you remember who you really are, death loses its sting. Oh, you'll still feel grief when someone you love dies. You'll miss their physical presence. But you'll also know with absolute certainty that they haven't gone anywhere. They've just changed form. The consciousness that animated them, the spirit that you loved, is eternal. It existed before they were born, and it continues after they die. And the same is true for you. You are eternal. You have always existed, and you will always exist. This lifetime, this particular expression of you, is just one chapter in an infinite book. And when this chapter ends, there will be another, and another, and another, because consciousness doesn't end. Energy doesn't disappear, it only transforms. Now, I want to talk about how to live from this place of remembering, because it's one thing to have a spiritual experience, to have a moment of awakening where you remember who you are, but it's another thing entirely to live from that place consistently, to make choices from that awareness, to let that truth guide your daily life. The first thing that happens when you start to remember is that you stop living according to other people's expectations. You stop trying to please everyone. You stop seeking approval from outside yourself, because you realize that the only approval you need comes from your own connection to Source. You realize that you came here with a purpose, with gifts to give, with a unique expression to offer the world, and no one else can tell you what that is. You start to trust yourself. You start to trust your intuition. When something feels right, you do it, even if it doesn't make logical sense. When something feels wrong, you don't do it, even if everyone is telling you that you should. You start to follow the guidance that comes from within, from that still, small voice that knows the way. And you start to see that life is supporting you. You start to notice synchronicities, coincidences that aren't coincidences at all. The right person shows up at the right time. The book you need falls off the shelf. The job opportunity appears out of nowhere. When you're aligned with your true nature, when you're living from the memory of God, the entire universe conspires to support you, because you're not separate from the universe. You are the universe expressing itself as you. This doesn't mean life becomes easy. It doesn't mean you won't face challenges, but it means you face those challenges differently. Instead of seeing them as problems, you see them as opportunities. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, what is this teaching me? How is this helping me grow? How is this helping me remember even more of who I am? You also start to see everyone you meet as a teacher. Everyone who comes into your life is there to show you something about yourself. The people you love are reflecting back to you your own capacity for love. The people who irritate you are showing you where you still have work to do, where you're still holding on to judgments and expectations. Even the people who hurt you are your teachers, showing you where you need to heal, where you need to set boundaries, where you need to love yourself more, and you start to forgive. Oh, this is such an important part of remembering. You can't access the memory of God while you're holding on to resentment, while you're nursing old wounds, while you're keeping score of who did what to whom. Forgiveness is not about condoning bad behavior. It's not about saying that what happened was okay. Forgiveness is about releasing your attachment to the past so that you can be fully present now. When you forgive, you're not doing it for the other person. You're doing it for yourself. You're freeing yourself from the prison of your own resentment. And here's the secret. Forgiveness becomes easy when you remember who you really are. Because when you understand that we're all one, when you understand that the person who hurt you was acting from their own pain, their own forgetting, their own disconnection from source, compassion arises naturally. You can see them not as a villain, but as a lost soul, as someone who forgot who they really are, just like you did. And you also forgive yourself. This might be the most important forgiveness of all. Most of us are walking around carrying so much guilt, so much shame, so much self-judgment. We replay our mistakes over and over. We beat ourselves up for things we did years ago. We tell ourselves we're not good enough, we're not worthy, we're broken. But from the perspective of Source, from the memory of God, there are no mistakes. There are only experiences. There are only opportunities to learn and grow and remember. The you that did whatever you're feeling guilty about was doing the best they could with the level of consciousness they had at the time. Can you extend compassion to that version of yourself? Can you see them with love instead of judgment? When you forgive yourself, you free up enormous amounts of energy. All the energy you've been using to hold yourself hostage to the past suddenly becomes available for creating your future. And you create differently when you're coming from a place of self-love instead of self-judgment. Let me talk to you now about abundance, because this is an area where forgetting who we are causes so much suffering. We've been taught that there isn't enough. We've been taught that we have to compete for resources, that someone else's success means less for us, that we have to grab and hoard and protect what's ours. But this is a lie. This is the ego's perspective. From the perspective of Source, from the memory of God, there is infinite abundance. The universe is not stingy. Look at nature. How many leaves are on a tree? How many grains of sand on a beach? How many stars in the sky? Nature doesn't operate from scarcity. Nature is wildly, extravagantly abundant. And you are nature. You are an expression of the same creative force that produces billions of galaxies and trillions of life forms. Why would that force suddenly become stingy when it comes to your life? Why would infinite intelligence create you and then withhold from you what you need to thrive? The truth is, you live in an abundant universe, and you have access to that abundance right now. But you can't access it while you're operating from a mindset of lack, while you're focused on what you don't have, while you're comparing yourself to others and feeling jealous or resentful. Abundance flows to you when you recognize that you are already abundant. When you focus on what you're grateful for instead of what you're missing. When you celebrate other people's success instead of feeling threatened by it. When you give freely instead of holding on tight. Because giving is proof that you trust the universe to provide. Giving is proof that you know you're connected to an infinite source. And here's something beautiful that happens when you start to remember who you are. You stop wanting so much. Not because you're depriving yourself, but because you realize that your happiness doesn't depend on external things. You realize that the deepest joy comes from within, from your connection to Source, from expressing your true nature. You still enjoy nice things, you still appreciate beauty and comfort and pleasure, but you're not attached to them. You don't need them to feel complete. You're already complete. You're already whole. You came from wholeness, and you return to wholeness, and the only thing that makes you feel incomplete is forgetting this truth. So how do you stay in this remembrance? How do you keep accessing the memory of God on a daily basis? Because the world is constantly trying to pull you back into forgetting. The news is telling you to be afraid. Advertising is telling you you're not enough. Other people's expectations are trying to shape you into something you're not. You have to have practices. You have to have rituals that remind you of the truth. For some people, it's meditation. For others, it's prayer. For others, it's time in nature, or creative expression, or movement, or service. Find what works for you, what connects you to that deeper truth, and do it every single day. Make it non-negotiable. And surround yourself with reminders. Read books that uplift you. Listen to music that opens your heart. Spend time with people who see you, who remind you of your greatness, who encourage you to be who you really are. Limit your exposure to things that make you feel small, afraid, or disconnected. Pay attention to your thoughts. Notice when you're thinking thoughts that are not aligned with your true nature. When you catch yourself thinking, I can't do this, or I'm not worthy, or life is hard, stop and ask, is this the voice of my true self, or is this the voice of my conditioning? Is this the memory of God, or is this the forgetting? And then choose a different thought. Choose a thought that is aligned with truth. I am capable of anything because I am connected to infinite power. I am worthy because I am an expression of the divine. Life is supporting me in ways I can see and ways I cannot yet see. You have more power than you realize. Your thoughts create your reality, not because of some magical thinking, but because your thoughts determine where you put your attention. And where you put your attention determines what you perceive, and what you perceive determines how you feel, and how you feel determines what actions you take, and the actions you take determine your results. When you think thoughts that are aligned with your true nature, you perceive opportunities instead of obstacles. You feel empowered instead of victimized. You take inspired action instead of forcing and struggling. And the results you get reflect back to you the truth of who you are, a powerful, creative, unlimited being. Let me tell you something else that happens when you remember. You stop taking life so seriously. You start to see it as a play, as a game, as an adventure. You realize that you're here to experience, to create, to express, to grow, but not to suffer. Suffering comes from resistance, from arguing with reality, from thinking things should be different than they are. When you align with Source, you align with what is. You accept the present moment as it is, not because you're passive or resigned, but because you understand that this moment is exactly what you need for your growth. You trust that life knows what it's doing. You trust that everything is unfolding perfectly, even when it doesn't look that way to your limited human perspective. And from that place of acceptance, you have the power to change what you want to change. Because acceptance doesn't mean you don't take action. It means you take action from a place of peace instead of a place of resistance. You take action because you're inspired to, not because you're trying to escape something you don't like. This is living in the flow. This is what it means to be in the world, but not of the world. You participate fully in life, you engage, you care, you contribute, but you're not identified with the outcomes. You do your best, and then you release it. You plant seeds and trust that they'll grow in their own time, in their own way, and you start to see miracles everywhere. Not because God is intervening and doing special things for special people, but because you're finally awake enough to see what's been happening all along. The miracle of your breath, the miracle of your heartbeat, the miracle that you exist at all, the miracle that consciousness has organized itself into this particular form that is you, with your unique gifts and perspectives and quirks. You are a miracle, not because you did anything to earn it, but simply because you are. You are a once in all of eternity expression of the infinite. There has never been anyone exactly like you, and there never will be again. Your existence matters, your life matters, what you do with your time here matters. And when you live from this understanding, when you remember who you really are, you stop wasting your precious life force on things that don't matter. You stop trying to impress people who don't really care about you. You stop pursuing goals that someone else told you you should want. You stop playing it safe because you're afraid of what people will think. You start to live boldly. You start to take risks. You start to say yes to the things that make your soul come alive and no to the things that don't. You start to trust that you came here with a purpose, and that purpose is encoded in your joy. Whatever brings you joy, whatever lights you up, whatever makes you lose track of time, that's your guidance. That's Source speaking to you, showing you where to go, what to do, how to express your unique gifts. And you stop waiting. This is so important. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting until you're ready. You stop waiting until the conditions are perfect. You realize that now is all you have. This moment is all you have. And in this moment, you can choose to remember. In this moment, you can choose to connect with Source. In this moment, you can choose to be who you really are. The memory of God is not something you have to work toward. It's not something in the future. It's available right now. Right now, you can close your eyes and feel the presence of consciousness. Right now, you can take a breath and notice the miracle of air filling your lungs. Right now, you can look around and see the beauty that surrounds you. Right now, you can feel the love that is your true nature. Because love is who you are, not the conditional love that says, I'll love you if you do this, if you be that, if you meet my expectations. But the unconditional love that is the very essence of Source. The love that loves simply because it is its nature to love. The love that flows like a river, not because it's trying to get somewhere, but because flowing is what rivers do. When you remember that you are love, you stop searching for it outside yourself. You stop thinking you need someone else to complete you. You stop believing that you're broken and need fixing. You realize that what you've been searching for has been inside you all along. You are the love you've been looking for. And from that place of fullness, of wholeness, of completeness, you can truly love others. Not because you need them, but because you want to share the overflow of what you are. Not because you're trying to get something from them, but because you're offering something to them. This is the difference between needy love and real love. Needy love says, I need you to make me feel complete. Real love says, I am complete, and I choose to share this completeness with you. When you love from this place, relationships transform. You stop trying to change people. You stop trying to control them. You see them as they really are, fellow expressions of Source, fellow beings on their own path, fellow souls trying to remember who they are just like you. And you realize that your job is not to fix anyone or save anyone or change anyone. Your job is simply to remember who you are and to be that, fully and authentically. And in being that, you give others permission to remember who they are. You become a mirror that reflects back to them their own divine nature. You become a light that helps them find their way home. This is why you're here. Not to achieve some great worldly success, though that may come. Not to accumulate wealth and status and fame, though those things are fine if they arrive. You're here to remember and to help others remember. You're here to wake up from the dream of separation and to realize the truth of oneness. You're here to express your unique facet of the divine, to add your voice to the cosmic symphony, to play your part in the grand unfolding of consciousness, becoming aware of itself. And here's the beautiful thing. You can't get this wrong. Even when you forget, even when you get lost in the illusion, even when you believe the lies about yourself, you're still serving the greater plan. Because those experiences of forgetting make the remembering all the sweeter. Those experiences of darkness make you appreciate the light. Those experiences of separation make you cherish the connection. It's all part of the play. It's all part of the experience. Source wanted to know itself, so it created infinite forms, infinite perspectives, infinite ways of experiencing reality. You are one of those ways. Your life, with all its ups and downs, with all its joys and sorrows, with all its successes and failures, is Source experiencing itself through you. So stop judging your life. Stop thinking you should be further along. Stop comparing yourself to others. You are exactly where you need to be. You have experienced exactly what you needed to experience. Everything in your past has brought you to this moment, to this awakening, to this remembering, and now you get to choose. You get to choose whether to keep living from the place of forgetting or to live from the place of remembering. You get to choose whether to keep identifying with your small self or to identify with your infinite self. You get to choose whether to keep playing small or to step into the fullness of who you are. The memory of God is calling to you. It's been calling to you your whole life. In every moment of beauty that took your breath away. In every moment of connection that made you feel less alone. In every moment of inspiration that sparked your creativity. In every moment of peace that settled over you like a warm blanket. Those were moments of remembering. Those were glimpses of your true nature. And now I'm inviting you to make that remembering constant instead of occasional. I'm inviting you to live from that place, to make choices from that place, to see yourself and others from that place. I'm inviting you to come home to yourself, to come home to Source, to come home to the truth that you are loved, you are worthy, you are enough, you are infinite, you are eternal, You are divine. This is not arrogance. This is not ego. This is the simple truth. You are a beloved child of the universe. You are an essential expression of the one consciousness that creates and sustains all things. You matter. Your life matters. What you do matters. So live like it matters. Live like you are who you really are. Live like you remember where you came from and where you're going. Live like you're connected to infinite wisdom, infinite power, infinite love, because you are. You always have been, you always will be. The memory of God is your memory. It's the memory of your true home, your true nature, your true self. And every time you touch that memory, every time you connect with that truth, you bring more light into this world. You help raise the consciousness of the entire planet. You help others remember who they are. This is your purpose. This is why you're here. Not to be perfect, not to have all the answers, not to never make mistakes, but to remember and to keep remembering, to wake up and to help others wake up, to love and to be loved. And as you go forward from this moment, I want you to carry this knowing with you. In every situation you face, ask yourself, what would I do if I remembered who I really am? How would I respond if I knew I was an infinite, powerful, loving being? What choice would I make if I trusted that the universe is supporting me? And then do that, be that, live that. Not perfectly, not every single moment, but more and more often, little by little, step by step, choice by choice. Because every time you choose from your higher self instead of your ego, you strengthen that neural pathway. Every time you choose love instead of fear, you make it easier to choose love next time. Every time you choose to remember instead of forget, you become more awake, more conscious, more alive. This is the path. This is the way, and you don't walk it alone. You walk it with Source itself flowing through you, guiding you, supporting you, loving you. You walk it with countless other souls who are also remembering, also awakening, also finding their way home. And one day, when this lifetime is complete, when you shed this physical form and return to pure consciousness, you will look back on this moment, on this remembering, and you will smile. You will see how perfect it all was, how everything fit together, how every challenge was an opportunity, how every person was a teacher, how every moment was exactly what you needed. But you don't have to wait until then. You can see it now. You can know it now. You can live from that perspective now. The memory of God is not a memory of the past. It's the present moment awareness of who you have always been and who you will always be. You are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. You are not separate from God. You are the way God is expressing itself right here, right now, in this particular time and place. Remember this. Remember who you are. Remember where you came from. Remember that you are loved beyond measure, that you are supported beyond your wildest dreams, that you are capable of things you can't even comprehend yet. Remember and live from that remembering. Remember and share that remembering with others. Remember and watch as your entire life transforms from the inside out. The memory of God is your inheritance. Claim it. The truth of your being is magnificent. Own it. The power that creates worlds is flowing through you right now. Use it. You are not who you thought you were. You are so much more. And it's time to remember.